1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
And they'll do it. They just want to see what punishment comes, and then if there's no adequate reprove, what they then do is they take it a step further. Now reverse that and apply it to the parents. So the parents are actually not doing what they're supposed to do. No, that doesn't relieve you of the of the commandment or of your responsibility as a child, which you're not very responsible as a child, are you? Let's face it. As a child, you're dependent solely on the guidance of whoever is there, be your parents or your guardian or whoever is there to bring you up. So you're dependent on them to guide you in life. And if that is not there, then you're bound to be either wayward, depends on how far it goes, or be rebellious. And that would spill over into adulthood. But as a child, now if you ask me that question as a child, I would say absolutely not. I will not obey them because they're not setting a good example, because they're not doing this. Because that's a natural instinct as a child. But when you grow up, it's a different thing, because you then understand it a little bit. It doesn't mean that you're making excuses. I can't remember the word I was looking for there, but it doesn't mean that you're condoning their inadequacies as an adult. It just means that you have now come to the realization that you sort of understand a little bit, whether negatively or positively. So you could either judge them positively with understanding a little bit, or you could just judge them negatively and say, right, they were a total failure, a total disaster. But the fact that you're alive, it says something, doesn't it? Because there are parents that would actually go out of their way to actually harm their children because they are that frustrated with their own lives. They don't know what to do with it. And they think, well, I've got enough problems on my own to then look after this child. So yeah, it doesn't relieve you of the fact that you still have to, because you're not at the end of the day, you're not really doing it for them, because they still got their own lives to live. They still, if they still commit a crime in the eyes of the law, they'll still go down for it, and that has nothing to do with you. Now, if you commit a crime as an adult of 18 and you say, well, it's because of my upbringing, the law doesn't recognize that. The law doesn't make there's no allowances in the law for that. So it's better that you actually try to obey them. Maybe they're maltreating you, as long as it's not abuse. Abuse is something different. But as long as it's not abuse, as long as it's just neglect, neglect, it forms part of abuse, but outright abuse is different, isn't it? So because at the end of the day, you are going to be responsible. If your dad's taught you how to steal, the law doesn't recognize that. It's your actions that the law recognizes. That's why I say it then spills over into the society, isn't it? And now, because that thing is taken out from the Bible about obey your father and mother, there's also another one in the Bible that says respect authorities. Now, we know that, you and I know that the money that we pay, and I'm not going to
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang. With fun
money that we pay, and I'm not going into politics, I know where to stop, but you and I know that the money that we pay in taxes, we don't have much say in how it's been utilized. We don't. You know, they could decide to buy 20 fighter jets to go and fight a war that we don't actually want to be involved in, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the government. But the Bible still recognizes all that and says, obey the government. You know, don't disobey the government. Because, and the Bible goes further to say that because those authorities, those in authorities, stand relatively in the position of God. So they are allowed to be there by God. So there's no room for excuse. There's no room to say, well, I'm not paying my taxes because you know, because of what they're doing with it, or what they don't do with it. So you still have to. That's why the Bible says, pay back Caesar's things to Caesar and God's things to God. So yeah, you still have to obey your parents.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I hear everything you say there, and I think you probably said something I would agree with, that it must ultimately depend just how far that abuse, because it can be not necessarily physical abuse, but emotional abuse, constantly putting down a child, not validating them, you know, stripping them of their confidence. Those things are sort of emotional abuse, even if not necessarily intended or whatever. And of course, we know that in life, sadly, there are families, I'd suggest in probably most families, there are frictions and feuds almost, or situations where a parent or a child they don't meet, they don't connect because of past situations. Hopefully these are in the minority, but I think that's the reality of it, where there has been a breakdown of a relationship in youthdom, in childhood, then it may affect that relationship forever, because we know that most forms of abuse can last a lifetime. They can have a lifetime effect on somebody in how they live their life. Okay, so as you say, the government may still insist, you know, we do whatever we're told within limits, but irrespective of whether we agree with what they do with our tax money. Okay, we'll almost touch on that with another question in a minute, but the next one I was going to ask you, and again, there is a kind of almost a religious aspect to this, but again, I emphasize we're not looking at this specifically at all, really, from a religious point of view.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang.